everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the books that I read for the month of January. It is my January reading wrap-up. For the month of January, I read 3 books out of the 5 books that I picked, and those books were Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jodi Meadows, and Twin Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber. So the first book that I read for the month of January was Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is a young adult fantasy romance book, and it is about a girl named Iris whose brother went to go fight in the war between these two warring gods. She's receiving letters from her brother, but shortly after he went off to fight, she lost contact with him. She really wants to figure out what happened to him. She works for one of the local gazettes as a journalist. So one of the co-workers that she works with is a professional nemesis, and he really is a rival to her. And they do not get along, they clash, and they just do not work well together. And his name is Roman. So Iris starts writing letters to her brother and just puts them in the wardrobe in her house. Doesn't expect anything to happen with these letters. She's just writing what's in her heart and sending them to her brother. All of a sudden, the letters in the wardrobe start to disappear. Then, to her surprise, she starts receiving letters back to her. But the thing is, the kicker is, it's not her brother writing back. So she ends up quitting her job at the Gazette and signs up to be a war correspondent so she can go out and try to figure out what happened to her brother. But her rival, Roman, doesn't want to quite say goodbye yet. So both Iris and Roman find themselves both as war correspondents. And not only are they A, trying to find her brother, B, trying to stay alive during the war, but C, trying to come to reality and to terms with the growing romance that is happening between them. So this book was pretty hyped up from the get-go for me. I just have heard really great things about it. And so I went in with the idea of that this is probably going to be a 5-star read. I wasn't too far off the mark. It wasn't a 5-star for me. However, the book was good. It was very, I want to say it was kind of a little slow paced at first until about halfway through the book. And then it really starts to pick up. So just be wary if you haven't read this yet that it does start off just a tad bit slow, but then it really starts to pick up. Just like any other Rebecca Ross book that I have read, I really did enjoy her writing in this. Really enjoy her character development. I just like how she writes in general. She's just a very pleasant, easy to read writer. Her writing type is very lyrical and atmospheric. So this book, on talking about content-wise, had some mild language in it, and there was one spicy scene. So just throwing that out there for you, so you know going into it. And I will say it ended on a really big cliffhanger, so you're going to want to pick up the second one pretty fast. And my rating for this one would have to be a 4.25 out of 5 stars. All right, so the second book that I read for January was My Lady Jane, and this is by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jodi Meadows. So we have 3 authors writing this one. This book is a young adult historical fiction / fantasy / satire. So that's a mouthful. What it's doing is it's taking the actual person in history, which in this case is Lady Jane Grey, and I cannot remember the exact year that she lived. Let's see, this was like the 1500s. I want to say the mid 1500s, and this was before Queen Elizabeth I came into power, okay? So after King Henry VIII, right before Queen Elizabeth I. And in the actual history books, what actually happened to Jane Grey was she was queen for 9 days after her cousin Edward died. Her cousin Mary had her executed. So it actually is a really pretty sad story in real life. But this book is far from anything sad, okay? So they take the actual history and they put a fantasy twist on it and make it really funny, and they actually change the ending. So it's not the sad story that we're normally used to. This book was very funny. I was actually laughing out loud in certain parts. And I normally don't do that in books. I mean, some books, of course, yes, but like I was actually laughing out loud. It was that funny. So you want to think Princess Bride meets Monty Python, except cleaner than Monty Python. And you get this book right here. So I wouldn't say that this book is like action-packed, fast-paced, leaving you on the edge of your seat the whole ride through. You have to kind of acquire a taste for it, but it is worth your time. It is very well worth your time. It's just so funny. It's just funny and at times can be goofy, but it was just really a really good read. This book actually kind of brought me out of a little slump that I was in. It was so good. And this is the first book in the Lady Janie series. The next two books are My Plain Jane and My Calamity Jane. And then there's a Mary series as well, but I forgot the names of those, so I'm not going to go into those at the moment. So yeah, this was just really, really good. I cannot go on enough about this book. It was just very, very funny. It just made me happy. And they actually did have some Princess Bride and Monty Python like little moments in there. Like you can, if you're a fan of the Princess Bride book or movie or Monty Python movie, you can actually pick up certain lines and dialogue from those two movies and book, and it was just really, really well done. Just really unique, you know, just different, and I appreciate that. So this book, content-wise, was actually really clean. I want to say I might have saw 2 mild words. Other than that, it was really clean, safe for your teenagers or tweens to read. It was fun, delightful, very delightful. So I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Okay, and the third and final book that I read for January was Twin Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber, 2 Catherines. This one, to me, I was like super excited to read it. Very, very hyped up. I don't know what it was, but it just was not my favorite book in the world. It might have been because I was really in a bad reading slump in January. This happens to me every January. We come out of Christmas and I just go into like major slump mode. It's just like, so I don't know if that was the problem or if I just didn't like the context of the idea of the story, the plot of the story, or the character development of the story. I don't know. So with that being said, I hope to come back and read this and give it another go, another time when I'm not in a reading slump, if that makes any sense. So I'm not trashing it in any way, shape, or form. It's not a 1-star at all. However, it just was not my cup of tea. I do not know why. I could not get into it very well. This is a young adult fantasy, and it's about 2 sisters that are twins, and one of them, they were separated at birth through this plot to overthrow the kingdom, and one was spared and grew up as the princess of the realm, the kingdom, and the other one was also spared but taken away to a safe haven of witches. And it'll go into detail of why that happened in the book without giving anything away. And basically what happens, they do a swap. So the witches plan for Rin to swap places with her sister Rose and rule and bring back protection and safety for the witches who are currently being hunted and persecuted and executed at this time by a really, really bad man who is Rose's advisor. So yes, so the concept, I think, is what drew me to the book. But I don't know. I don't know. I cannot put a finger on why I didn't care for this book at the time. I don't know. I'm going to blame it on the slump. But yes, this was my 3rd book for the month of January. And I gave this one like I want to say between a 3.25 and a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Again, hoping to come back and give this a second go another time around when I'm in a better reading mood. All right, so this video was really short but sweet because I did not have a lot read in the month of January. Like I said, it was just a slumpy month and I just wasn't in the mood for reading in general, to be honest. So February, I can already tell you, is I am doing so much better, and I've read one book so far that has completely brought me out of my slump and is wonderful, and I'll go into raving detail about that one in my February reading wrap up. But yes, February, I'm really excited about the books I'm reading. I'm completely out of my slump and I'm in a good reading mood and healthy mindset for the month of February, and I hope to keep going in that nice healthy mindset. So yes, those are my 3 books for the month of January. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked the content that you saw today, please do not forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you all later. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye.